Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at a brand new Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, Quaquaval. Quaquaval is the third stage evolution of the Water Paldea starter that was released into Pokemon Go as of this morning. For typing, it's a water and fighting type Pokemon with the moveset of Wing Attack, Aerial Ace, and Close Combat. So honestly, the moveset is terrific, but this thing is extremely attack weighted. This means it can output massive damage, but it cannot take a hit whatsoever. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's test out the newest Glass Cannon in Go Battle League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a positive lead, tackle Carbink into Medicham. And this is a team archetype that you may recognize. I have run it before, Carbink Double Fighter, where Carbink is very good at covering the weaknesses of those fighters, and the fighters do the same to Carbink. Typically with this team, I will save switch to Brave Bird Surfetch'd, but since we have the new Pokemon Quaquaval, which is an extreme Glass Cannon and does very well up energy, I'm going to be save switching the Quaquaval. So I'm just going to tank the Psychic, and now it is Quaquaval time. In comes Quaquaval, and it's a simultaneous save switch, Quaquaval into Registeel. Registeel is going to have a terrible day here. Close combat, massive damage onto the Regi. Regi is going to fire off the Zap Cannon, but I have the shield advantage, so I'm going to be able to commit the shield, and now look to Wing Attack down the Registeel, and gets the farm down, leaving with so much energy. Opponent sends in a Sableye, but Sableye is going to have to respect this. Double close combats, despite being resisted, will KO. This thing has a monstrous attack stat. Close combat, gets the shield. I'm going to switch into Carbink to reset the debuff, and Sableye lost count of Carbink's energy. Moonblast will get the KO. In comes the Medicham. Medicham farms down the Carbink, but I can send back in Quaquaval, and Quaquaval is able to make it to the Aerial Ace, take down the Medicham, and get the win. Moving into the next match, we see the Dream lead, Carbink into Noctowl. Honestly, I haven't seen almost any Noctowl since it got nerfed, which has been a welcome update. At this point, I was pretty tired of seeing Noctowl from the previous seasons, so seeing a lot more Gligar and Mandibuzz, definitely a cool adjustment. I do need to respect the Focus Blast, but I can massively overfarm with the Surfetch'd and go for the KO with the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade into the Registeel, gets shielded, and it's a CMP tie Surfetch'd, the king of CMP ties. Leaf Blade will get the second shield, and honestly, if they're going to give me both shields, I'm just going to let this go. I'm going to give up switch advantage, and instead, I'm going to go for energy on Quaquaval. Quaquaval looking for the farm down. Registeel makes it to the last second move, so I may as well catch it onto Carbink. Carbink able to absorb the Focus Blast and tackle down. In the back, opponent has a non-Shadow Quagsire. Quagsire going for the Mud Bomb. Since they're not the Shadow though, my Carbink is going to be able to tank this pretty comfortably, and they're not really going to be able to farm down. I'm farming up with the Carbink and going for the Moonblast. This of course will not be lethal, but it will deal some solid chip damage, and then the game freezes. Thankfully, it unfreezes and we're back. I'm farming up, I'm making it to the Rock Slide. This is not going to KO, but at this point, all chip damage is helpful. That gets the Quag very low, and Quag is going to be firing off the Mud Bomb. Mud Bomb is going to KO the Carbink. In comes Quaquaval, and they're firing off another Mud Bomb. I'm committing the shield, and I know all that's left is the Noctowl in the back. Quaquaval makes the double close combats, dancing as it gets rid of the Noctowl. Close combat number 1 into close combat number 2. Get that Noctowl out of here, and that's a good game. Moving into the next match, picking up a very bad lead, Carbink into Whiscash. I'm going to be immediately save switching into Quaquaval. Opponent is going to respond with Skarmory. So I'm seeing a lot of nerfed flyers in these first couple battles. I'm going for the close combat. That does big damage to the Skarmory. Skarmory looking for the farm down, but can't quite get there. Quaquaval with a sliver of HP makes the close combat and forces a shield from the Skarmory. Even if they're running the Flash Cannon, I can tank that on Carbink. So I'm just going to send in the Carbink and no shield, because Carbink, not really useful considering they have a Whiscash in play, so even if they had it, I wasn't going to shield. It turns out they don't have it, which is quite nice, so I can just very comfortably let this go. And then I'm actually going to send in the Surfetch'd to try and snipe with the counter, but unfortunately I do get one turn switch, and the Air Slash registers. It all comes down to a bait call. I build up to the Brave Bird, I decide to bait, expecting them to shield, and the opponent calls the bait. I should have just full sent it. If I full sent it, I win that game, but unfortunately I did not, so I resign the match. We see a Nightmare lead in the next match, Carbink into Shadow Steelix. I'm going to immediately save switch into Quaquaval. Opponent is going to farm up with the Steelix, and in comes Trevenant. Trevenant falling for the trap as Aerial Ace will hit for massive super effective damage. Wing attacks, looking for the farm down. Trevenant makes the Seed Bomb, and I will respect it with a shield. And now my opponent does not have a move loaded on Steelix, so I can guaranteed get the shield back with the close combat. In comes the Steelix, and I'm firing off the close combat. Steelix respects it with a shield. Quaquaval looking to make it to another charge move. I don't get to the close combat, but does my opponent know Quaquaval counts? They do not, and they give up the final shield. In comes Surfetched, and now we have Surfetched onto the Steelix, which is a lot better for me. But the unfortunate thing is they have back-to-back Breaking Swipes, so I'm forced to commit a shield here. Breaking Swipe will grab the final shield in the back. It's Medicham, and I'm going to send in Carbink. Carbink does pretty well here, but the uncomfortable thing is that if I leave this matchup too healthy, then the Steelix can massively overfarm and leave with a move to get rid of the Surfetched. So this will be a bit of an interesting endgame here. I am firing off the Moonblast, I go for the undercharge, and I'm actually going to let the Medicham get as low as possible, and then I'm going to stop tapping here. Medicham goes for the Psychic, Switch Clock will be up soon, I'm waiting, I finally KO it, but there's not enough time. In comes the Steelix. Steelix farming up, and I'm going to fire off the Moonblast. Steelix is still one short of the move. I can switch into the Surfetched and get the snipe with the Leaf Blade. So fighting back from a truly terrible lead, we're still able to get the win. Picking up a terrible lead in the next match, Carbink into Quaquaval. And at this moment, I wish I did not have Tackle. I'm going to save switch into Quaquaval. Quaquaval farming up and going for the Aerial Ace before my opponent is able to make it to the Shadow Ball. Aerial Ace will connect. Opponent now sends in Sableye. They're running ABA Ghost. You've got to be kidding me. That is basically the worst thing you could see when leading Tackle Carbink. I'm able to land the close combat, but unfortunately I get farmed down, so maybe I should have gone for the Aerial Ace there. Aerial Ace still does quite a lot of damage, as unfortunately now I'm just in a really uncomfortable position where the Quaquaval has a ton of energy in the endgame. The nice thing is, Sableye's energy is completely useless into the Carbink, so I can just use Carbink as a gigantic damage sponge, but this is going to be a difficult endgame knowing that Quaquaval has all that energy. What does the opponent have in the back? It's a Diggersby. I switch into Surfetched. Opponent a bit slow on the switch in, and now they're sending back in the Quaquaval. Coffin goes for the Shadow Ball. I commit the shield. I'm farming up with the Surfetched, firing off the Leaf Blade just before they make it to their next Shadow Ball. Leaf Blade gets the shield. Opponent goes for a Shadow Claw in the move, and that's going to cause them to lose CMP. Leaf Blade gets the final shield. It's going to come down to a catch. A lot of Diggersby lately have been running Scorching Sands and Hyper Beam, so that's what I'm going to anticipate is trying to catch a Scorching Sands. I'm going to overfarm and play to the CMP tie here. Leaf Blade will get the KO. In comes the Diggersby. I'm counting, but they're running Fire Punch, and that's the game. Oh my goodness. Incredibly unfortunate, and we resign the match. Moving into the next match, we lead Carbink into Frostlass. This matchup is a lot worse with Tackle, but most Frostlass are not going to stick around to check the fast move. They save switch into Lickitung, and I instantly answer with the Surfetched. Surfetched goes for the Leaf Blade. That does quite a lot of damage. Lickitung over farming, but I take a Body Slam here, so I can let this through. And as long as I switched fast enough here, which I did, they are not able to make a second Body Slam. And if they bring in the Frostlass, I can live 2 Powder Stones, which means I make the Brave Bird. And Brave Bird is going to deal absolutely massive damage to the Frostlass. Frostlass forced to go down a shield, and not only do they not have switch, but they don't have shield advantage as well, and it's a Registeel in the back. It's time for Quaquaval to go off. Quaquaval is firing off the close combat into the Registeel. That does massive damage. Registeel returning fire with the Zap Cannon. I commit the shield. Do we see the debuff? Yes, we do. That debuff is a bit unfortunate. I'm looking for the farm down. I realize it's not going to happen, so I go for the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is going to get the KO. Back in comes Frostlass, and I'm firing off the close combat. Close combat, of course, is resisted, but it's just so much of a better move than non-stab Aerial Ace. I'm farming up, switching into Carbink, and I catch the charge move that was aimed at Quaquaval. Shadow Ball will connect, and that's just not going to do nearly enough damage to the Carbink. Opponent at this point recognizes that the game has concluded, and they just let the Rock Slide go. Picking up a nice lead in the next match, Carbink into Defense Deoxys. Again with 2 fighters in the back, definitely happy to see their Psychic type on the lead. And I don't really care what charge moves they throw here, as Carbink, the name of the game is bulk. They go for the Rock Slide, that just does absolutely nothing, and the tackles continue to chip away at Defense Deoxys' very limited HP pool. Rock Slide will connect, continuing to farm up with the Carbink. They're going for another charge move, and again, an immediate no shield. I know I don't have to shield this, so I'm in a pretty comfortable position here. I'm over farming and going for the Moonblast. Moonblast is the better move here, and this will get the Deoxys low. Deoxys commits the shield, continuing to farm with the Carbink. And again, I'm not going to be shielding the Carbink. I'm just going to let this go. Rock Slide connects, aggressive switch into Quaquaval. Opponent is going to respond with Sableye. Sableye just going for the foul play here. Foul play is resisted, but Quaquaval is so glassy that almost KOs. I'm able to make it to the back-to-back moves here, and I'm going for the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace into the Sableye will connect, and now I can go for the close combat. This combination will be enough to KO the Sableye and win switch advantage. Is the opponent going to send back in the Deoxys to get the counter down and get energy, or do we see the final Mon? We see the final Mon. It's Ferrothorn, and this is honestly looking tough. Power Whip does a lot here. I think I have to let one go. Opponent baits with a Mirror Shot, and that is actually the best case scenario that could have happened there. My goodness. I was just no shielding even if it was a Power Whip, but no shielding the Mirror Shot, and then to add insult to injury, we catch the final Mirror Shot onto the Carbink, and now Surfetched just wins. I bring back in the Surfetched, I wait for them to switch, and then I can just go for the double Leaf Blades here. Leaf Blade number 1 gets the shield. Leaf Blade number 2 will get the KO on the Deoxys. And Ferrothorn just doesn't have enough HP to make another charge move. A familiar nemesis returns in the next match, leading Carbink into Shadow Steelix. Immediate save switch into Quaquaval. Opponent staying in with the Steelix, and Steelix will go for the immediate debuff with the Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe connects. Opponent now sends in Medicham. The good news is I needed to bait out Medicham. The bad news is they debuffed me first, which means double Aerial Ace is now not going to be enough to KO. My opponent has played this well so far, and that is making it difficult for me. I'm going to send back in the Carbink. Carbink will be able to absorb the Psychic and get the farm down. The switch timers are a bit misaligned. I'm hoping my opponent does not wait their switch clock here, but my opponent knows what they're doing, and they are going to wait their timer. As soon as they send in the Steelix, though, I'm going to be sending in the Surfetched, farming up, and going for the Leaf Blade before they get the debuff. This will re-desync the switch timers here. My opponent is farming up, and they're going for the Breaking Swipe. It looks like whatever they have in the back may not be a fan of Surfetched energy. Surfetched, farming up, looking for the counter down, but the Steelix with 1 HP makes the last second Breaking Swipe. That is incredibly unfortunate. Surfetched gets the farm down in the back. It's a Azumarill. Okay, if this doesn't have Hydro Pump, I can win this game. I go for the Leaf Blade. Switch timer is still not yet up, and I'm forced to throw another debuff Leaf Blade. Opponent is going to let that go. Back in comes the Carbink. Carbink farming up and going for the Rock Slide. This should be grabbing the shield from the Azumarill, and it all comes down to this. Does the opponent have Hydro Pump? Here we go. Moment of truth. Azumarill goes for the Hydro Pump, and that's a good game. Hopping into the final match, leading Carbink into Hitmontop. Now, Hitmontop with the update did get access to Triple Axle, a move that is going to deal some okay damage, but the important thing is it's going to boost its attack. So they're going to fire off the charge move. It's the Triple Axle, and I'm going to save switch into Quaquaval. Quaquaval is going to be answered by Sableye. Sableye farming up energy, and I'm building up and going for the Aerial Ace. Double Aerial Ace, I believe, isn't quite enough to KO, but the close combat after definitely will be. So I'm firing off the close combat. Opponent commits the shield. Sableye looking for the farm down and gets the farm down. In hindsight, if I was anticipating a shield, maybe I should have gone for the double Aerial Ace, but this way, at the very least, I guarantee the shield from my opponent. They're going to send back in the Hitmontop. Hitmontop firing off a charge move. Even if it's a close combat, I'm just going to let this through. It's the Triple Axle. I send in the Surfetched in the back. It's a Powder Snow Shadow A9. Thank goodness it's not Charm. I'm firing off the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade will hit for massive damage onto the A9. A9 waiting to the last possible second to go for the Weather Ball. We're at a pretty similar health range here, Surfetched to Hitmontop, so I'm just going to look for the farm down here. And it's a simultaneous KO, but with Carbink alive in the back, I'm able to take the win. And now some final thoughts on Quaquaval. First off, I will say there'll be 1 or 2 games out of 10 that you play with it where this thing just absolutely pops off and can basically solo a team. But the rest of the games, you really feel how glassy this thing is. It just really cannot take a hit, and if it's down a shield at any point whatsoever, you basically just lose. So while it is a fun glass cannon to run, I do think it's a Pokemon that does have a lot of flaws, and of the 3 starters, Meowscarada is definitely the worst. I would say that, thinking about it, I would say that Quaquaval is probably in the middle, and the one, if you're going to build one of these, is definitely going to be Skeledirge. Skeledirge has the best stats and still has a pretty solid moveset. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.